Bahrain rejects the U.S. push to normalize relations with Israel. In talks with U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo, King Hamad says Bahrain is committed to the creation of a Palestinian state. Bahrain's king has told visiting U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo that the Gulf state is committed to the creation of a Palestinian state, according to state media, in an implicit rejection of Washington's push for Arab countries to swiftly normalize ties with Israel. The top U.S. diplomat was in Manama on Wednesday as part of a Middle East tour aimed at forging more links between Israel and the Arab world on the back of a U.S.-brokered deal with the United Arab Emirates earlier this month. The agreement, which makes the UAE the third Arab country to agree to establish relations with Israel after Egypt and Jordan, was slammed by the Palestinians. Before Bahrain, Pompeo was in Sudan where Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok said on Tuesday his transitional government has no mandate to take the step of establishing relations with Israel. And on Wednesday, Bahrain echoed the sentiments of its ally and regional heavyweight Saudi Arabia that accord with Israel would not materialize without the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. According to the official Bahrain news agency, King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa told Pompeo his country remains committed to the Arab Peace Initiative, which calls for Israel's complete withdrawal from the Palestinian territories occupied after 1967, in exchange for peace and the full normalization of relations. The king stressed the importance of intensifying efforts to end the Palestinian-Israeli conflict according to the two-state solution, to the establishment of an independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital, the agency reported. Pompeo said in a Twitter post that he discussed with Bahrain's royal rulers only the importance of building regional peace and stability and countering Iran's malign influence. Manama, whose contacts with Israel date back to the 1990s, was the first Gulf country to welcome the UAE rapprochement and was considered by some observers a frontrunner to follow in its footsteps. Like most Gulf countries, Bahrain shares with Israel a common enemy in Iran, which Manama accuses of instigating protests by the nation's Shia Muslim community against the ruling Sunni al-Khalifa dynasty. But the UAE's controversial step has been met with criticism from some parts of the Arab world, with the Palestinian leadership condemning it as a stab in the back, and even U.S. allies in the region have been cautious in their response.